What if the key to transforming life's greatest challenges into your most profound opportunities was discovered more than 2 millennia ago? Imagine facing the fiercest tempests with a calm so deep that nothing, absolutely nothing, could disturb your inner peace. It sounds like a superpower, a gift reserved for the enlightened. And yet, this power is already within you. Day after day, we allow our emotions, our circumstances, and the world's chaos to dictate our happiness. We let the storms steer our course and tear apart our sense of self. The real question is, why? Why allow the uncontrollable currents of life to erode your spirit, when the wisdom of Stoicism offers a way to reclaim your strength and find sanctuary in the midst of madness? This ancient philosophy teaches a simple, liberating truth. While we cannot control what happens to us, we can always control how we respond. And in that response lies our truest freedom. If you are tired of being a passenger tossed about on the waves of your own existence, if you are ready to take the helm and steer toward unshakable tranquility, then this journey will challenge everything you believe about yourself and the world. It is a commitment to growth, to self-mastery, and to a life aligned with your highest values. Let us walk this path together. 1. Focus on what you can control. Life has a habit of presenting its trials when we are least prepared. We have all been there, stressed, hurried, striving to keep everything in balance, when suddenly a single event disrupts our fragile peace. Perhaps it is a traffic jam on a morning you are already late, or a careless comment online that strikes a dissonant chord within you. In those moments, it can feel as if the universe itself is conspiring against you. But here is the liberating secret. You cannot control most of what happens in the external world: the flow of traffic, the shifting skies, the actions of others. These are all currents beyond your command. But the rudder that steers your soul, your response, remains entirely in your hands. This is the cornerstone of Stoicism. The ancient masters, from Epictetus to Marcus Aurelius, understood that true peace is found by focusing our energy on what we can control and releasing our grip on the rest. The source of your turmoil is not the external chaos. It is the internal choice you make in the face of it. The next time you feel trapped by circumstance, remember this. As your frustration rises, pause. Take a single deep breath. Acknowledge that you cannot change the situation itself, and then shift your focus inward. Can you use this unexpected pause to think more clearly? To listen to something that uplifts you? To simply be still? You absolutely can. In doing so, you reclaim your inner peace, something no external event can ever take away. As the psychologist Carl Jung observed, it is our responses to the world that forge our character, not the events themselves. When we embrace this principle, we build a profound emotional resilience. We begin to face life's challenges not with anger and frustration, but with a quiet, powerful acceptance. It is like forging a shield around your mind. This takes practice. You will not always succeed, but with each attempt, the path becomes clearer. And the long-term rewards, less stress, greater clarity, and the freedom to focus on what truly matters, are immeasurable. Consider how this reframes our relationships. How often is our peace disturbed by a word spoken amiss or an expectation unmet? We cannot command the behavior of others, but we can choose how we engage with it. When another's actions stir a storm within you, you have a choice: to react with emotion or to respond with understanding and self-control. This shift does not just preserve your own tranquility, it makes you a more stable, thoughtful presence in the lives of those you care about. The Stoics taught that the aim is not perfection, but progress. It is about taking small, manageable actions within your sphere of control and letting go of the rest. This frees you from the anxiety of trying to manage the unmanageable. By accepting that some things are simply beyond your reach, you stop projecting your frustrations onto others and begin to navigate the world with a newfound sense of clarity and purpose. It is a game changer. Stoicism does not promise a life free of obstacles, but it promises that you will have the grace and strength to navigate them. 2. Embrace the obstacle. It is natural to feel disheartened when life presents an impassable wall, a rejection, a difficult truth, an unforeseen event that shatters your plans. Our first instinct is often to cry out, "Why me?" as if we are the sole targets of misfortune. But what if that very obstacle, the thing that seems to block your path, is actually the path itself? Herein lies one of Stoicism's most powerful transformations of perspective. The obstacle is the way. The Stoics saw challenges not as unfortunate hurdles, but as profound opportunities for growth, for learning, for the forging of character. Every setback is a chance to test your resilience, to dig deeper and discover a strength you never knew you possessed. When your plans are disrupted, you are forced to adapt, to think creatively, to find a new way forward. True growth is not found on calm seas, but in the heart of the storm. When you face your next obstacle, try to shift your mindset. Instead of focusing on its unfairness, ask yourself, what can I learn from this? This simple question transforms everything. It turns frustration into curiosity, and a sense of victimhood into one of agency. When you cease to view an obstacle as an adversary and begin to see it as a teacher, you reclaim your power. A setback becomes a setup for something greater. Our perception shapes our reality. A rejection can feel like a judgment on your worth, or it can be a redirection toward a better path. The pain of the moment is real, but it does not have to define you. This echoes the wisdom of Carl Jung, who noted, "What you resist persists." To fight against the immovable object is to exhaust your strength, but to accept it, to ask what it can teach you, is how you transmute resistance into resilience. Consider being overlooked for a long-sought promotion. The immediate sting is one of disappointment. It is easy to fall into a spiral of bitterness. But what if you were to pause and ask, what lesson does this hold? Perhaps there is feedback to absorb, a skill to develop, or perhaps this closed door is guiding you toward a different one, an opportunity you had not yet considered. The great Stoic emperor Marcus Aurelius captured this idea perfectly in his Meditations. "The impediment to action," he wrote, "advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. It is the friction that allows for movement, the resistance that builds strength. Every difficult conversation, every frustrating deadline, every personal disappointment is an opportunity to practice this art. By embracing the obstacle, you are not just surviving life's challenges, you are thriving because of them. You become stronger, wiser, and more resilient with every stone you turn from a stumbling block into a stepping stone. 3. Live in the present moment. How often do you find your mind wandering, lying awake at night, replaying the past or rehearsing a future that has not yet arrived? We live our lives caught between the ghosts of yesterday and the phantoms of tomorrow. We carry the weight of regret for what has been and harbor anxiety for what might be. But the Stoics understood a profound and simple truth. This present moment is the only reality we ever truly possess. To live in the present does not mean to ignore the past or neglect the future. It means we learn from the past without being imprisoned by it, and we plan for the future without being consumed by it. Our true power, our only point of action, is right here, right now. This shift in focus can have a revolutionary impact on your well-being. When you release the past and the future from their grip on your mind, you begin to experience life with a richer, more vibrant clarity. Consider the simple act of a meal. We can consume it distractedly, our attention lost in the digital glow of a screen, our minds elsewhere. Or we can choose to be present, to truly notice the aroma, the textures, the flavors. In that moment of pure focus, a mundane act becomes a rich experience. The same is true for a conversation. How often do we listen with only half an ear, already forming our reply or thinking of what comes next? When you offer your full, undivided attention, you forge a deeper, more authentic connection. Our modern culture encourages a restless mind. We are conditioned to chase the next goal, the next achievement, creating a constant state of mental clutter that robs us of the present. But it is this very habit that fuels our anxiety. As the Stoic philosopher Epictetus suggested, peace comes not from having more, but from wanting less. Less distraction, less mental noise. To live in the present is to become intentional with the currency of your life, your time, your focus, your energy. It is a conscious choice to inhabit this moment fully, for it is the only one you are guaranteed. Consider how many days have been lost to a mind adrift, wandering through past regrets or future anxieties, while the tasks at hand lay untouched. To choose the present is to reclaim control over your life. Instead of letting thoughts dictate your actions, you can be fully engaged with whatever you are doing. This shift in focus not only makes life more enjoyable, but more productive as well. The true beauty of the present moment lies in its power to reveal the joy hidden in small things. Instead of waiting for some grand event to deliver happiness, you begin to find deep satisfaction in everyday experiences. The simple pleasure of a morning cup of coffee, the shared laughter with friends over dinner. These are the moments that give life its texture and meaning. It is easy to overlook them when our gaze is fixed on the horizon, but when we choose to slow down and be present, we discover the immense beauty of the here and now. This is not some vague philosophy. It is practical wisdom that can transform how we experience the world. The Stoics understood that our thoughts and emotions are incredibly powerful. They shape our reality. If we are perpetually dwelling on what's next or what has been, we miss the richness of life as it unfolds. But when we choose to focus on the present, we empower ourselves to respond to life with clarity and purpose. This focus creates a profound sense of peace, for it silences the mental noise that so often clouds our judgment. Imagine a day lived with this kind of presence. Instead of rushing from one task to the next, your mind already on the next item on your list, you would give your full attention to the moment before you, to each conversation, each task, each decision. Not only would you feel more at peace, but you would also make better choices. This is the power of the present moment. It allows you to show up as your best self, fully engaged and clear-headed. Of course, anchoring ourselves in the present is a challenge. We live in a world designed to pull our attention in a million different directions. But this is a skill, a practice. Like any muscle, it grows stronger with effort. Start small. Focus on one task at a time. Take a few minutes each day to simply sit in silence. Pay attention to the sensation of your breath. The more you practice, the more natural it becomes. You will find that living in the present also helps you manage stress more effectively. When you cease to worry about what might happen or what has already passed, you can face challenges with a calm and centered mind. You learn to handle life one step at a time, focusing only on what is within your control, this very moment. Finally, this practice allows you to forge deeper connections with others. When you are truly present, you listen with intention, engage with sincerity, and appreciate the people in your life in a way you may have missed before. This not only strengthens your relationships, but also deepens your own sense of fulfillment. Living in the present is not just a pleasant idea. It is a powerful practice that transforms your experience of life. The present is where life happens. It is the only moment you ever truly have. The fourth practice is self-discipline. The phrase echoes through our modern world, often conjuring images of a rigid, joyless existence. We picture someone who sticks to a strict schedule, denies all pleasure, and works without rest. But that is a profound misunderstanding. True self-discipline is not about depriving yourself of enjoyment. It is the art of making conscious choices that honor your long-term goals over fleeting desires. It is about choosing what is right over what is easy, especially when it feels uncomfortable. The Stoics had a powerful view of self-discipline. For them, it was not about suppressing desire, but about mastering it. They understood that life is filled with distractions and temptations that can pull us off course. The real challenge lies in learning to say no to the things that derail us from what is truly important. Whether it's skipping a workout for a night of television or making an impulsive purchase, these small decisions accumulate over time. It is in these moments that self-discipline is forged. Think of the last choice you faced. Perhaps it was rising early to pursue a project or hitting the snooze button. In those moments, self-discipline is the force that guides you. It is not about rejecting pleasure, but about choosing a deeper, more lasting satisfaction over a momentary one. It is about taking control of your actions, recognizing that your choices today shape your reality tomorrow. At its heart, self-discipline is an extension of self-awareness. It requires you to know who you are, what you value, and what you truly want from life. In this sense, self-discipline is not a fight against yourself, but an alignment of your actions with your deepest values. It is the process of becoming the person you aspire to be. This is a skill that takes practice. Real freedom is born not from unchecked indulgence, but from self-control. This is the power of self-discipline. Learning to direct your energy toward what matters most, rather than being swept away by momentary whims. The path to building this skill is consistency. It is not about making massive, sudden changes, but about small, steady improvements. Every time you choose a difficult task over procrastination, you strengthen the muscle of self-discipline. Over time, these small decisions compound, creating powerful habits. As Aristotle famously said, "We are what we repeatedly do." Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit. This speaks directly to the core of self-discipline. Excellence is not born from a single moment of brilliance, but from a daily commitment to choosing what is right over what is easy. Each small act builds your character and reinforces your capacity for growth. Consider your greatest goals. Dreams do not come true by wishing. They are realized through consistent, disciplined action. Self-discipline provides the clear boundaries and focus required to choose long-term reward over short-term pleasure. The satisfaction of achieving a meaningful goal is far greater than the fleeting pleasure of distraction. This practice also forges our resilience. Life rarely goes according to plan. When you cultivate self-discipline, you build the strength to stay focused and adapt when faced with obstacles. The Stoics did not shy away from challenges. They saw them as opportunities to practice virtue and grow stronger. The very obstacles that seem to block your path are, in fact, the path itself. They are the crucibles in which character is formed. With this mindset, every setback becomes a step toward your ultimate goal. At the end of the day, self-discipline is not about saying no to distraction. It is about saying yes to the life you want to create. This brings us to our fifth practice, building emotional resilience. Life, in its very nature, is unpredictable. Just when the path seems clear, a challenge emerges, and we are knocked off balance. We all face difficult times: loss, failure, disappointment. In these moments, emotions like anger, sadness, and fear can feel overwhelming. But while we cannot always control external events, we can always control how we respond to them. This is the essence of emotional resilience, the ability to get back on your feet after life knocks you down. The Stoics were masters of this. They understood that while emotions are natural, they do not have to control us. We can feel them, acknowledge them, but we do not have to let them define our actions. As the philosopher Epictetus said, men are disturbed not by things, but by the views which they take of them. This means our emotional response is dictated not by an event itself, but by our interpretation of it. Emotional resilience is not the suppression of feeling, but the mastery of response. It is about acknowledging your emotions without letting them hijack your decisions. The key is to create a small pause, a space between the feeling and the action. This pause allows us to reflect and choose a response that aligns with our values, rather than being swept away by impulse. It is the difference between reacting emotionally and responding thoughtfully. As Carl Jung believed, the privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. Mastering your emotions is a vital part of that journey. When we let our feelings control us, we give away our power. When we choose our response, we reclaim it. This is not about becoming cold or indifferent. It is about facing life's challenges with composure, clarity, and strength. Think of a time you faced adversity. It is easy to react impulsively, to lash out, to shut down, or to spiral into self-doubt. Resilience is about feeling the emotion fully without letting it dictate your behavior. You can feel anger, but you do not have to say something you will regret. You can feel fear, but you do not have to avoid the challenge. You can meet life with a clear mind and a calm heart, knowing that this moment, no matter how intense, will pass. The Stoics saw adversity not as something to be avoided, but as an opportunity for growth. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "What stands in the way becomes the way." This is a profound shift in perspective. It suggests that the very things that seem to block our progress are the things that help us grow. Every setback is a chance to practice patience, wisdom, and courage. These emotions that arise in difficult moments are like passing storms. You are not the storm. You are the one standing within it, holding steady. An important part of resilience is learning to be kind to yourself when things go wrong. Too often, we are our own harshest critics. But self-compassion is essential. As Seneca wrote, we suffer more often in imagination than in reality. We must give ourselves the grace to fail, to learn, and to grow. One of the most effective ways to build this resilience is through mindfulness. The practice of being fully present allows you to observe difficult emotions without getting swept away by them. Mindfulness gives you the space to choose how to respond. The fears and insecurities we repress will continue to control us until we face them. Resilience is about becoming aware of these emotions and learning to navigate them with purpose. Ultimately, emotional resilience is about finding balance. It is about accepting that we will face hardship and feel intense emotions, but that we do not have to be consumed by them. It is about learning to ride the waves of life with grace. The Stoics did not teach us to avoid our feelings, but to approach them with wisdom, knowing that we can feel deeply without being controlled. This delicate balance between feeling and reason is the very cornerstone of emotional resilience. When life's trials arise, remember that you are not defined by your emotions. You can acknowledge them, understand their source, and then move forward with clarity. Emotional resilience is not about being immune to pain or hardship. It is about knowing, deep within you, that you have the strength to overcome them, time and time again. As the Stoics taught, every adversity is an opportunity to grow. Embrace it, learn from it, and emerge stronger on the other side. This leads us to a profound Stoic reflection. Memento mori. Remember, you will die. Have you ever truly contemplated your own mortality? Not in a fearful, depressing way, but in a manner that inspires you to live more fully. We so often live as if we have all the time in the world. We procrastinate, we postpone joy, we take people for granted. Yet deep down, we know life is fragile and our time is limited. So why do we act as though it is endless? This is where the practice of memento mori becomes a powerful guide. While it may sound morbid at first, its purpose is the opposite of fear. When we truly embrace the brevity of life, we stop wasting our precious time on the trivial. We begin to focus on what genuinely matters, and this shift can radically change the way we live. Memento mori is about living with intention and purpose. Marcus Aurelius often meditated on this, writing, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think." This is a powerful call to live each day as if it were our last, not recklessly, but with a focus on what is truly important, our relationships, our well-being, our inner peace. By acknowledging our time is limited, we begin to make better choices. Instead of putting things off, we ask ourselves, what do I want to accomplish? What kind of person do I want to be? What legacy do I wish to leave behind? The daily distractions and trivial concerns that once dominated our thoughts begin to fade. We focus instead on living in alignment with our deepest values. The Stoics believed that reflecting on mortality forces us to confront the transient nature of all things, which in turn helps us to live more authentically. It is a call to action, a reminder to take control of the time we have. We become more intentional with our actions, more present with the people we love, and more focused on what we want to achieve. This practice also reframes our relationships. Think of the time spent scrolling through social media, arguing over petty issues, or caught up in drama. Now, think of the people in your life, your family, your friends. How often do you truly connect with them? How often do you express how much you care? Marcus Aurelius offered a stark image for this. You are a little soul carrying around a corpse. In other words, our bodies are temporary vessels. By remembering our time here is short, we start to appreciate the people who matter most. We stop taking them for granted and begin to show up for them in a way that reflects their importance in our lives. Every moment with those we love becomes more precious. This awareness of life's brevity naturally leads to a deeper sense of gratitude. The more we reflect on our mortality, the more we appreciate the simple gifts, the warmth of the sun on our skin, the taste of a favorite meal, the sound of a loved one's voice. These simple joys take on new meaning when we realize how fleeting they are. We begin to savor each moment. As Seneca wisely said, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it." When we embrace memento mori, we stop wasting time. We live more fully, love more deeply, and embrace every moment as the precious gift it is. This brings us to the active cultivation of gratitude. Gratitude is more than a polite gesture. It's a practice we can weave into the fabric of our daily lives, transforming how we experience the world. It is the art of being aware of all the good things in our lives, both large and small, and taking a moment to truly appreciate them. The Stoics knew that true happiness isn't about acquiring more, but about appreciating what we already have. Gratitude can be found in the quiet, ordinary moments. Take a moment, right now. Think of the warmth of your bed in the morning, the comfort of a hot cup of coffee, the feeling of sunlight on your skin, or a meaningful conversation with a friend. These moments are easy to overlook, but when we pause to notice them, we realize just how much we have to be grateful for. This practice also intersects with a deep form of self-acceptance. When we appreciate what we have, we cease the endless striving for more, the constant need to prove our worth through acquisition or achievement. We learn to accept ourselves and our lives just as they are. This shift in perspective is liberating. Happiness, the Stoics taught, comes from within. True abundance is found not in what we possess, but in our capacity to appreciate the life we have been given. Gratitude also has a profound effect on our relationships. When we take time to reflect on the people in our lives and the kindness they show us, we strengthen our connections and create a more positive, nurturing environment for everyone. This practice is also vital in hard times. Life is full of challenges, but adversity can be a source of growth. When faced with an obstacle, we can be grateful for the strength and resilience we develop in the process. Every setback is a chance to learn and grow. Cultivating gratitude is a choice. It requires us to intentionally seek out the good, even when it feels difficult. A simple way to begin is with a daily practice. Each day, take a moment to reflect on 3 things you are thankful for. Over time, this habit can rewire our minds to see the world through a lens of abundance. As Epictetus said, gratitude is not only the greatest of virtues, but the parent of all the others. And as we cultivate gratitude for our own lives, we naturally begin to extend that feeling outward through compassion and empathy. Have you ever considered that the act of being kind to others is a source of strength, not just for them, but for you as well? The Stoics believed a virtuous life was about contributing positively to the world. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, "What brings no benefit to the hive brings none to the bee." Our well-being is interconnected with the well-being of others. Stoicism does not advocate for cold detachment, but for emotional control so that we may approach others with understanding and a sense of shared humanity. At its core is empathy, the ability to put yourself in another's shoes, to understand their struggles and their perspective. When you empathize with someone, you allow that shared experience to foster a deeper connection. Psychology supports this ancient wisdom. Studies show that acts of kindness and compassion boost our own happiness and sense of purpose. When you show compassion, you enrich your own life. This isn't about grand gestures, but about the small, everyday actions. It's about taking the time to listen without judgment, to truly hear what someone is saying, and to show up for them when they need support. Think about the last time someone truly listened to you, without judgment or distraction. Remember the feeling of being seen, of being understood. That is the profound gift you offer another when you act with compassion. It is the very heart of our shared humanity. Think back to a time when you truly felt heard. Perhaps you were navigating a difficult season of your life, and someone offered you the simple gift of their full attention, listening not to respond, but simply to understand. There is a profound power in that kind of presence, in creating a space where another person can unfold their thoughts and feel seen. This is the essence of empathy, listening without the weight of judgment or expectation. It is the bedrock upon which trust is built and relationships are fortified. This powerful connection isn't reserved for life's defining trials. Compassion flourishes in the small, everyday moments. It is the quiet kindness offered to a cashier, a warm smile shared with a stranger, or a simple message to a friend who might be struggling. These gestures may seem insignificant on their own, but they accumulate over time, creating a ripple effect of positivity that touches your life and the lives of those around you. The Stoics saw the pursuit of virtue as a lifelong endeavor, and practicing compassion is one of the most direct, most powerful ways to embody that ideal. By weaving kindness into the fabric of our daily lives, we not only contribute to the well-being of others, but we also sculpt better versions of ourselves. Empathy also demands that we look beyond our own biases. It is easy to view the world through the narrow lens of our own experience, but compassion invites us to widen our perspective, to understand others on a deeper level. we begin to see that every person we meet is carrying their own invisible burdens, their own struggles, fears, and uncertainties. This realization softens our critical edges, making us more accepting, not only of others, but of ourselves. As Carl Jung once observed, everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves. This is a powerful insight. A strong reaction to another's behavior often illuminates an unexamined part of our own soul. Practicing empathy, then, becomes a path to self-awareness and profound personal growth. It is also vital to remember that compassion is not the same as agreement. Sometimes true compassion involves offering support while still holding someone accountable for their actions. It is about recognizing the universal capacity for change, understanding that everyone is on their own unique journey. By offering empathy without condoning harmful behavior, we create an environment where people feel safe enough to grow, learn, and make better choices. This is especially true in our most intimate relationships. We need not agree on every point, but when we lead with empathy, we open the door to honest conversation and mutual understanding. The Stoics also stressed the importance of turning this compassion inward. It can be far easier to extend kindness to others than it is to offer that same grace to ourselves. Self-compassion is the practice of being gentle with yourself when you falter, when you make mistakes, or when you feel you have fallen short. It means treating yourself with the same warmth and understanding you would offer a dear friend. When you practice self-compassion, you cease the exhausting cycle of self-criticism over things beyond your control. Instead, you focus on what you can do right now to move forward. This mindset cultivates resilience, helping you rebound from setbacks with a quiet sense of peace and self-acceptance. Incorporating compassion into our lives requires a conscious presence. It asks us to slow down and truly engage with the world. In our fast-paced society, opportunities for empathy can easily be missed. But when we make a deliberate effort to truly listen, to offer a kind word, to simply be present, we begin to transform our relationships and our own emotional landscape. In the end, compassion is not merely a pleasant quality. It is essential for a life of meaning and virtue. It strengthens the bonds that unite us, builds trust, and fosters a more supportive world for everyone. As the Stoics understood, our own well-being is inextricably linked to the well-being of others. By practicing empathy, we not only make life better for those around us, but we enrich our own lives in ways we never thought possible. 9. Release the need for external validation. How much of your energy is consumed by the worry of what others think? It's a deeply human instinct, this desire to be liked, to be accepted and validated. We seek it from friends, family, and even the anonymous faces on social media. But what if this constant need for approval is the gilded cage that keeps you from a truly fulfilling existence? When we rely on the opinions of others to define our self-worth, we surrender our power. We allow the shifting tides of outside perception to determine our own inner peace. Here is a liberating truth. You do not need anyone's approval to be whole. Your value is intrinsic. It radiates from within, independent of external applause. The Stoics built their philosophy on this foundation. As Epictetus famously taught, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. We cannot control the thoughts or words of others, but we hold absolute dominion over our response. When we cease seeking validation, we stop letting external opinions dictate our happiness. Instead, our focus shifts to what truly matters, the integrity of our actions, and the courage to live in alignment with our values. This transition from external to internal validation is life-altering. It grants us the freedom to be authentically ourselves, without the shadow of judgment. Think of the immense energy spent trying to meet the expectations of others, the pressure to look a certain way, to follow a specific path, to conform to societal ideals. This constant striving is exhausting, and it often leaves us feeling hollow, as if we are running on a treadmill, forever in motion, but arriving nowhere. The Stoics taught that true freedom is an internal state. By focusing on living virtuously, according to our own principles, we break our reliance on outside approval and learn to rely on ourselves. When we chase validation, we often contort ourselves into shapes that are not our own, sacrificing authenticity for acceptance. This relentless pursuit erodes our self-worth, leaving us insecure and uncertain. The path to fulfillment lies in radical self-acceptance, in embracing all of who you are, flaws and virtues alike, without concern for external perception. This doesn't mean becoming indifferent to others. It means prioritizing your own internal compass over the noise of outside opinions. Stoicism encourages us to cultivate an inner fortress, a strength that allows us to make decisions based on our values, not on the potential for applause. Think of social media, where worth is often measured in likes, comments, and followers. It is a seductive but treacherous game. When you anchor your self-esteem to these fleeting metrics, you give away your power. The Stoics remind us that our value is forged in character and action, not in the fickle court of public opinion. When you stop seeking external validation, you begin to live from a place of deep alignment with your true self. You act with confidence because you are secure in who you are. And here lies the great irony. The less we chase validation, the more we attract genuine connection. When we are not performing for approval, we present our true selves, and in doing so, we draw in people who appreciate us for who we are. These relationships are deeper and more lasting, built on a foundation of mutual respect. Letting go of this need also dissolves a tremendous amount of stress. The anxiety of being judged pulls us from the present moment, trapping us in a cycle of worry. By releasing this burden, we can finally relax, be present, and enjoy our lives without constantly second-guessing our every move. The power of this release lies in the freedom to make choices that truly reflect your values, to live a life of purpose, and to find peace within yourself. 10. Embrace the nature of change. Life is a current of constant motion. One moment we stand on solid, predictable ground. The next, the landscape shifts beneath our feet unexpectedly and irrevocably. Change can be unsettling, even frightening. It is human nature to crave the safety of the familiar. But here is a truth the Stoics held dear. Change is not just inevitable. It is the defining characteristic of life itself. And while resistance is a natural first response, the key to peace and growth lies in learning to move with the current, not against it. As the Stoic Emperor Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, we must accept whatever comes, woven in the pattern of your destiny. This is not a passive surrender, but an active alignment with the fundamental nature of reality. At its core, every change is an opportunity. This may sound counterintuitive when facing a difficult or unwanted transition, but every shift, large or small, holds the seed of growth. How many times has an upheaval in your life, a new challenge, a painful ending, forced you out of your comfort zone, only for you to look back and recognize it as a catalyst for becoming stronger, wiser, and more resilient? The Stoics saw change as an integral part of personal evolution. Without it, we would remain stagnant. Change forces us to adapt, to evolve, and to rediscover who we are. Embracing it means stepping into the unknown with the confidence that it is a chance for self-discovery. The Stoics were no strangers to upheaval. They lived in a world of constant political and social turmoil. They understood that everything in life is transient. Success, failure, joy, and pain. By accepting these fluctuations as part of the human experience, they found their power not in controlling the world, but in controlling their response to it. When we fight against change, we exhaust our energy swimming against an unstoppable tide. But when we learn to accept that change is the very pulse of existence, a sense of ease begins to settle within us. Life becomes less of a struggle and more of a dance. Accepting change does not mean you have to like it. It is natural to feel a sense of loss when a chapter of your life closes. It is healthy to grieve what was. But the Stoics did not shy away from this discomfort. They leaned into it, viewing adversity as a forge for character. Embracing change is also about recognizing the new doors it opens. We often resist because we fear what lies on the other side of the familiar. But the moments that truly define us are often born from stepping out of our comfort zone. As Carl Jung suggested, one does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. True growth comes not from avoiding discomfort, but from facing it with courage and clarity. So, how can we begin to embrace change? It starts by shifting our perspective. Instead of viewing change as a threat, we can see it as an invitation. When life presents a new turn in the road, we can ask ourselves, what can I learn from this? How can this help me grow? This simple shift moves us from a mindset of fear to one of curiosity. The truth is, change will happen whether we consent to it or not. By learning to accept it, we gain the freedom to live more fully, to open ourselves to new experiences, and to become more capable of handling whatever life brings our way. Change isn't something to be feared. It is the very essence of being alive. 11. Simplify your life. We live in a world that constantly whispers and often shouts that we need more. More possessions, more accolades, more complexity. We are surrounded by a culture of excess. It whispers from endless advertisements and shouts from social media feeds that parade the curated triumphs of every life. We are told that happiness lies in the next gadget, the newer car, the greater career milestone. It is a seductive chase, and it's easy to get caught up, believing that if we only had a little more, we would finally feel whole. But deep down, a quiet truth persists. Despite all we accumulate, there is a nagging sense of emptiness. The more we attempt to fill our lives with things, the more we realize that true happiness is not found in possessions, status, or achievement. It is something simpler, something deeper. The Stoics understood this profoundly. They recognized that our relentless desires for material things, fame, and recognition are often the very source of our stress, distraction, and dissatisfaction. Instead of encouraging the pursuit of more, they advocated for less. Less clutter, less noise, less distraction. Simplicity, they believed, was the path to freedom. When we strip away the non-essential, we create space for what truly matters: our relationships, our well-being, and our sense of purpose. As Marcus Aurelius wrote in his Meditations, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." In other words, peace and contentment are not born from what we own or achieve. They arise from the way we choose to think and to live. Simplicity is not about deprivation. It is not a call to live like a monk or deny yourself all enjoyment. It is about making conscious choices that align with your deepest values, rather than being swept away by the currents of external pressure and societal expectation. When we simplify, we reclaim control. We begin to choose what truly serves us and to discard what does not. This might mean decluttering a home, but it also means saying no to commitments that drain our energy. It is about reclaiming your time, your peace, and your focus. It is about stepping out of the constant race for more and deciding, instead, to live with intention. How can we discover who we are if we are constantly chasing things that do not matter? By simplifying our lives, we create the space for reflection, the quiet moments needed to understand who we truly are and what we genuinely want. It is only by shedding distractions and excess that we can begin to live authentically. The more we focus on what is essential, the clearer our path becomes. We stop trying to live up to the expectations of others and start living in a way that reflects our true values. In this way, simplicity becomes more than a lifestyle choice. It becomes a form of self-actualization. Consider for a moment how much of your time, energy, and attention is consumed by things that add no real value to your life. Perhaps it's the pile of possessions collecting dust, or the endless notifications that pull you from the present moment. Maybe it's the unspoken pressure to keep up with fashion, with career ladders, with social status. We fill our lives with these distractions, hoping they will bring fulfillment, but they often do the opposite. They draw us away from what matters most: our personal growth, our relationships, our inner peace. The Stoics were not against material things. They understood that possessions can serve a purpose, but they insisted that these things must never define us. True wealth lies not in how much we own, but in our ability to appreciate and make the most of what we already have. As we simplify, we lessen our reliance on external validation for our sense of worth. We learn to find joy in the present moment, in the simple acts of spending time with loved ones, enjoying a good book, or taking a walk in nature. Simplifying your life also means learning the power of saying no. In our modern world, we are often overcommitted, stretched thin, and stressed out. We say yes to things that do not align with our values because we feel obligated or fear disappointing others. But the Stoics taught that our time is our most precious resource, and it must be used wisely. We can also simplify our relationships. It's easy to be swept up in the whirlwind of social media, maintaining countless superficial connections. The Stoics, however, believed that true friendship is founded on virtue and shared values, not on popularity. Associate with people who are likely to improve you, advised Epictetus. By curating our social circles, we can focus on the people who truly add value to our lives, those who inspire us, challenge us, and support us in becoming our best selves. We do not need 100 friends. We need a few meaningful connections that nurture our growth and well-being. By removing the distraction of shallow relationships, we create space for deeper, more fulfilling bonds to flourish. This journey of simplification must also turn inward, to our thoughts. How often do we find ourselves trapped in negative patterns, worrying about things far beyond our control? The Stoics understood that our thoughts shape our reality. By simplifying our mental landscape, we can quiet the internal noise and focus on what is truly important. Marcus Aurelius encouraged us to anchor ourselves in the present moment, unburdened by past regrets or future anxieties. By training the mind to focus on what we can control and release what we cannot, we cultivate a profound inner clarity, a key to living a peaceful and fulfilled life. The psychologist Carl Jung touched upon this when he said, "The more a man knows, the more he realizes he doesn't know." This humility, this willingness to let go of needless complexity, allows us to live with greater clarity. It is the embrace of an idea that we don't need to know everything. We don't need to have it all figured out. Simplicity, in this sense, is about acceptance. It is accepting that we do not need to complicate our lives with things, thoughts, or relationships that drain us. Instead, we can embrace simplicity as a path to deeper understanding, self-awareness, and peace. When you simplify your life, you create room for what truly brings you joy. You make space for your passions, your dreams, and your purpose. You stop chasing shadows and start living a life that is aligned with your authentic self. The Stoics were masters of this art. teaching that true happiness comes not from accumulating more, but from learning to live well with less. In simplifying, you make room for what truly matters, and in doing so, you create a life rich in meaning, purpose, and peace. Have you ever felt your mind to be a whirlwind, racing from one thought to the next, entirely beyond your control? It is an exhausting state of being. We are constantly pulled in different directions, reacting to the world around us instead of consciously choosing our response. This mental chaos is a shared human experience, but it does not have to be our default state. What if you could learn to slow down, to step back, and become an observer of your own mind without being swept away by its currents? This is the essence of mindfulness, and this practice of being fully present is not a modern trend. It is something the Stoics knew and practiced intimately. At its core, mindfulness is the simple act of being aware of your thoughts, feelings, and actions in the present moment, without judgment. It is observing the landscape of your inner world, your emotions, your thoughts, your bodily sensations, and accepting it for what it is. The Stoics understood this idea deeply. They may not have called it mindfulness, but their teachings are rooted in this very practice. For them, being mindful was about gaining command over their reactions to the world. They knew that while we cannot always control the events of our lives, we can always control how we respond to them. When we take a moment to observe our thoughts and feelings, we create a sacred space between stimulus and response. Instead of reacting automatically to stress, frustration, or anger, we become aware of these emotions as they arise. This awareness grants us the power to choose how we respond, rather than being carried away by instinct. This is the foundation of Stoic practice: to master our internal state, regardless of external circumstances. Think of the last time you felt overwhelmed. Perhaps it was a chaotic day at work, a personal conflict, or a situation where everything seemed to spiral. In that moment, did you react or respond? An impulsive reaction, a sharp word, a surge of anxiety, leaves us feeling powerless. Mindfulness offers a different path. It invites us to pause, to breathe, and to simply observe. What are you feeling? What thoughts are running through your mind? The mere act of noticing creates distance from the intensity of the moment, granting us the clarity to respond in a way that aligns with our values, not our impulses. Carl Jung offered a profound insight into this process. Until you make the unconscious conscious, he said, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. His words are a powerful reminder that so many of our behaviors are driven by unconscious patterns, by past experiences, fears, and unresolved emotions. The beauty of mindfulness is that it brings these patterns into the light of awareness. As we observe our thoughts and emotions without judgment, we begin to recognize these hidden influences. And once we see them, we can begin to change them. The Stoics did not teach us to suppress difficult emotions. They taught us to observe and understand them. Epictetus famously said, "It's not things themselves that disturb us, but our opinions about them." The events of our lives are neutral. The meaning we assign them comes from our thoughts, our interpretations. By practicing mindfulness, we become aware of these interpretations, and we gain the ability to shift our perspective, rather than being controlled by it. A simple way to begin is to take a few deep breaths whenever you feel overwhelmed. Close your eyes for a moment and focus only on your breathing. Notice the rise and fall of your chest, the sensation of air moving through you. As you breathe, allow your thoughts to come and go, like clouds passing in the sky. Do not try to change them or judge them. Simply let them be. This small practice grounds you in the present and can restore a sense of control when life feels chaotic. This simple act can change the way you approach life. It helps you respond rather than react. One of the core tenets of Stoicism is to control what is within our power and accept what is not. Mindfulness is a direct way to practice this. We learn to focus on what we can control, our thoughts, emotions, and actions, while accepting the vastness of what we cannot. Life will always present challenges, but when we approach them with mindfulness, we respond with clarity and calm, rather than being swept away by fear or frustration. This practice builds resilience, allowing us to face life's difficulties with greater grace and composure. Mindfulness also cultivates a deeper sense of gratitude. In the rush of daily life, it is easy to overlook the simple moments of beauty that surround us. But when we slow down and become present, we begin to notice them. We see the small victories, the moments of connection, the little joys. This awareness fosters gratitude for what is, rather than a constant striving for what might be. Ultimately, mindfulness can help you manage stress, make wiser decisions, and live with greater purpose. It improves your relationships by allowing you to be more present with the people you love. Most importantly, it cultivates the inner peace and resilience that are the true foundations of happiness. The beauty of this practice is its simplicity. All you need is the willingness to pause, to observe, and to be present. The more you practice, the more it becomes a part of you, a tool to navigate the ups and downs of life with composure and clarity. By integrating mindfulness into your daily routine, you are creating a deeper connection with yourself and the world. This is what the Stoics called living in accordance with nature. And when you do that, life becomes more peaceful, more fulfilling, and more meaningful. So take a moment, right now. Breathe deeply. Observe your thoughts, and simply be. It is a small step, but it is the first step toward a life of profound inner peace. At the heart of every great philosophy lies a core principle, a foundation upon which everything else is built. For the Stoics, that principle was virtue. Virtue was not merely a lofty idea. It was the highest good, the guiding light that gave all of life its meaning. In a world that so often puts success, wealth, and external achievements on a pedestal, the Stoics taught that true happiness comes not from what we acquire, but from how we live. They believed that by living virtuously, acting with wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance, everything else would fall into place. It is a mindset that challenges us to ask not, "What can I get?" but rather, "Am I living with integrity? Am I acting with courage? Am I treating others with fairness?" In the end, virtue is the compass that points us toward a life that is truly fulfilling. For the Stoics, virtue was not a vague concept. They defined it through 4 key pillars. Wisdom is the ability to see what is within our control and what is not, and to navigate life with clarity. Courage is the strength to face adversity, not just in dramatic moments, but in the small challenges of every day. Justice is the commitment to treat others fairly, with respect, and to work for the common good. And temperance is the power of self-control, the balance and moderation that keeps our desires in check. Practiced together, these virtues create a solid foundation for a life of purpose. The journey to becoming our true selves is not measured by external accomplishments. It is forged in the development of our character. When we make virtue our North Star, we are no longer chasing fleeting achievements or the approval of others. We are focused on becoming the kind of person who lives with integrity and self-discipline, regardless of circumstance. In doing so, we align our actions with our deepest values and begin to experience a sense of peace that no external reward can provide. It is easy to be distracted by the constant pressure to achieve and acquire. Society often measures success by what we have, but the Stoics remind us that these things are external, temporary, and ultimately hollow. True contentment comes from within. When we focus on virtue, we shift our attention away from external rewards and toward what truly matters: our character, our integrity, and our connection to others. This shift is incredibly liberating. It frees us from the need for validation and allows us to live by our own standards. And paradoxically, when we focus on becoming the best version of ourselves, true success and fulfillment often follow. Living virtuously also equips us to face life's challenges with grace. Adversity is inevitable. It is during these times, a personal loss, a professional setback, a difficult relationship, that our character is truly tested. The Stoics believed it is not our challenges that define us, but our response to them. Can we remain calm in the face of chaos? Can we act with integrity when it is difficult? Can we find the courage to push forward when the odds are against us? These are the moments that forge our virtue and offer the greatest opportunity for growth. One of the core ideas of Stoicism is that while we cannot control external events, we can always control our response. This is grounded in wisdom, the understanding that our power lies not in changing the world, but in choosing how we meet it. As Epictetus said, we cannot choose our external circumstances, but we can always choose how we respond to them. This is the essence of Stoic freedom. By mastering our reactions, we take command of our lives, no matter what happens around us. Justice is another key virtue, and its call for fairness and respect for the common good resonates powerfully in our modern world. In a world that so often feels fractured by division and injustice, it's easy to fall prey to cynicism, to feel powerless against the tide. Yet, the Stoics offer a timeless reminder. Each of us has a role to play in weaving a more just world. For them, justice was not merely an adherence to law, it was a living principle, a commitment to treating others with respect, fairness, and compassion. It is the conscious choice to act for the collective good, rather than for personal gain alone. When we act with justice, we become architects of a society where dignity is honored and kindness is the common currency. This path does not demand perfection, but it does ask for a persistent striving for fairness and integrity in every interaction, a quiet dedication to doing what is right. To walk this path, however, requires a companion virtue: courage. The Stoics understood that courage is not confined to the battlefield, but is found in the quiet resolve to show up for life authentically. It is the strength to make difficult decisions, to stand for one's principles, and to speak truth when silence is easier. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is the assessment that something else is more important. As Seneca so wisely wrote, it is the judgment that a principle, a value, or a love for others outweighs the tremor of fear within us. True courage is born when we acknowledge our doubts and trepidations, yet choose to act with purpose anyway. It is this inner fortitude that allows us to live a life aligned with our deepest values. And finally, to balance these virtues, the Stoics championed temperance. In a culture that often glorifies excess, temperance is the quiet power of self-control. It is the wisdom to know when to say no, when to pull back, and where to find equilibrium. This is not a philosophy of self-deprivation, but one of profound self-understanding. It is the art of mastering our desires so that our impulses no longer steer our ship. Instead, we act in service of our long-term well-being and greater goals. As the philosopher Zeno suggested, well-being is attained little by little, and yet is no little thing itself. Temperance is the practice of moderation, the recognition that true happiness blossoms not from indulging every whim, but from cultivating a landscape of peace within ourselves. When you make virtue your guiding principle, your entire perception of the world begins to shift. You cease to measure your worth by the metrics of external achievement and begin to value the quality of your character. The opinions of others become less compelling as you focus on becoming the truest version of yourself. In living with integrity, fairness, and courage, your life discovers a deeper resonance, a profound sense of meaning. The Stoics knew that when we pursue virtue above all else, everything else finds its proper place. Happiness and fulfillment are not prizes to be won. They are the natural consequence of a life well lived. So ask yourself, am I living with wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance? If the answer is yes, all else will follow. These virtues, however, are not abstract ideals. They are rooted in a foundational practice, the discipline of self-awareness. Consider the strange notion of navigating your life as a stranger to yourself. It is not so uncommon. We live in a world of constant motion, moving from one task to the next without pausing to reflect on our own thoughts, feelings, and actions. But how can we grow? How can we find fulfillment if we do not first take the time to understand the landscape of our own minds? Self-awareness is the most powerful tool in our possession, a truth the Stoics held as the very cornerstone of their philosophy. Without it, we are adrift. With it, we unlock the capacity to live with intention. The Stoics practiced this awareness with quiet diligence. They did not wait for a lightning bolt of clarity, but actively cultivated it through daily reflection. Marcus Aurelius, in his personal journal, would review his day, evaluating his actions with gentle inquiry. What did I do well today? Where could I improve? His goal was not self-flagellation, but self-education. Through this regular practice, he could see where he was thriving and where he still had room to grow, allowing him to live with greater wisdom and integrity. This practice need not be another task on an endless to-do list. The art of self-awareness can be as simple as taking 5 minutes at the end of your day to check in with yourself. Ask, what did I do today that made me proud? Or, where could I have responded with more grace? The key is to create a rhythm of reflection, allowing you to recognize patterns, acknowledge your strengths, and identify the areas that call for your attention. This is not about judgment, but about seeing yourself clearly, without distortion, and embracing the whole of who you are, your strengths and your weaknesses. By accepting our flaws, we gain the power to change what we wish, while appreciating the unique qualities that define us. Self-awareness grants us the clarity to navigate life's challenges with purpose. When we understand our motivations, our triggers, and our desires, we can make decisions that align with our values, rather than reacting from a place of impulse or external pressure. Without this inner knowledge, we risk falling into autopilot, repeating the same cycles without ever asking why. The Stoic practice of reflection allows us to break free, to take stock of our inner world, and make conscious choices about the direction of our lives. We cease to be merely reactive and become, instead, proactive architects of our own character. This clarity is crucial in our relationships. How often have we found ourselves in a conflict, only to realize later that we were swept away by an emotion we didn't fully understand? Self-awareness allows us to recognize our emotions as they arise, giving us the space to respond thoughtfully rather than defensively. The Stoics did not teach emotional suppression, but emotional understanding. By knowing how we feel and why, we can channel our emotions constructively, building stronger connections and resolving conflicts with greater ease. Ultimately, self-awareness is vital for our well-being. When we are disconnected from ourselves, it's easy to feel lost or overwhelmed. But by regularly checking in, we stay grounded, focused on what truly matters. Self-awareness is our internal compass, guiding us through life's storms. The more attuned we are to our own inner workings, the more confident we become in our ability to navigate whatever comes our way. If this practice feels new, be patient. Like any skill, it improves with repetition. Start simply. Growth is not an event, but a continuous, lifelong process. It is this profound self-knowledge that empowers us to set healthy boundaries, to know our limits and communicate them with grace. It allows us to honor our own well-being rather than living a life dictated by the expectations of others. It was the psychologist Carl Jung who captured this sentiment perfectly when he said, "Who looks outside, dreams. Who looks inside, awakes." The journey inward is the beginning of an awakening to our true nature. And it is from this place of wakefulness that all real growth begins. This journey of self-awareness leads us to another profound Stoic discipline, the art of being present in every action. In the hustle of modern life, our minds are often a whirlwind of thoughts and distractions. We wash the dishes while mentally composing an email. We sit with a friend, yet our attention is tethered to the screen in our hand. We are physically present, but mentally absent. This disconnect is a source of great stress and dissatisfaction, but the antidote is beautifully simple: to be fully present in every action you take. For the Stoics, this was essential. Whether washing their hands or speaking in public, they believed every action deserved to be done with deliberate, mindful attention. To be present is to give your full energy to what you are doing right now. It is to immerse yourself in the experience and release the grip of distraction. In this space, we are no longer prisoners of past regrets or future anxieties. We are simply here. And in the here and now, we discover a richness in every moment, from the most mundane task to the most profound human connection. When we are fully engaged, our true, authentic selves emerge. We stop performing and simply are. But this requires practice, a conscious effort to slow down in a world that urges us to speed up. As the philosopher Epictetus advised, first say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. This is a call to intention. When we give our full attention to one thing at a time, we give it our best, and the results reflect that focus. This is especially true in our relationships. To offer someone your undivided attention is one of the greatest gifts you can give. It is in these moments of pure presence that true connection is forged. Being present is also about noticing the small wonders we so often overlook. The way the light filters through the leaves, the warmth of a cup in your hands, the sound of a distant bird. The Stoics believed that peace is found not in waiting for the next milestone, but in appreciating the beauty of the now. It is in these simple, everyday moments that fulfillment lies, if only we have the presence of mind to see it. This practice is about acceptance of where you are, in this moment, without resistance. While we cannot control external events, we can always choose how we respond. By embracing the present, we accept life in its totality, knowing that every moment, whether joyful or challenging, holds a seed of growth. We take ownership of our actions, moving through the world with a quiet, conscious clarity. We are no longer tossed about by circumstance. We are in the driver's seat of our own lives. So, how can you begin? Start by simply paying attention. Notice the small moments of your day, the sensations, the thoughts, the people you encounter. Observe them without judgment, without rushing on to the next thing. Life is not happening somewhere in the future. It is happening right now, in this very moment. The more we show up for it, fully and completely, the more we unlock the profound power of living with purpose. Take this wisdom with you and begin today. To continue your journey into the heart of Stoic wisdom and discover the profound clarity it can bring to your life, I invite you to explore one of the videos now appearing on your screen. Thank you for walking this path with us at Stoic Journal. The quest for a more intentional and peaceful existence is fortified with every moment of reflection. So, continue to learn and continue to grow. And always remember, your path to a virtuous life is built not on grand gestures, but on the single, deliberate choice you make next.